Hey, what's going on? Welcome back. So today we'll be reading Mark chapter 13. I'm reading from the NLT translation, the New Living Translation. I'm also going to be referencing the Geneva Bible, the 1560 edition as well. So in this chapter, this is going to be Jesus foretelling the future. So there's going to be a part of it that I'm going to go to the book of Revelation and explain it from the way that I understand what he's talking about. If I'm wrong, please let me know. But from my understanding, this is what he's going into the reference of. Alright, so without further ado, let's go ahead and dive in. Mark chapter 13. As Jesus was leaving the temple that day, one of his disciples said, "Teacher, look at these tremendous buildings. Look at these massive stones in the walls." Jesus replied, "These magnificent buildings will be so completely demolished that not one stone will be left on top of another." Later, Jesus sat on the slopes of the Mountain of Olives across the valley from the temple. Peter, James, John, and Andrew came to him privately and asked him, when will all this take place? And will there be any sign ahead of time to show us when all this will be fulfilled?" Jesus replied, "Don't let anyone mislead you, because many will come in my name claiming to be the Messiah. They will lead many astray, and wars will break out near and far. But don't panic. Yes, these things must come, but the end won't follow immediately. Nations and kingdoms will proclaim war against each other, and there will be earthquakes in many parts of the world and famines." We can see a bunch of earthquakes happening around the world right now. And obviously wars all over the place, but that's pretty regular for humankind. um, but all this will be only the beginning of the horrors to come. "But when these things begin to happen, watch out. You will be handed over to the courts and beaten in the synagogues. You will be accused before governors and kings of being my followers. This will be your opportunity to tell them about me. And the good news must first be preached to every nation." Let me finish this up real quick. When you are arrested and sent to trial, don't worry about what to say in your defense. Just say what God tells you to. Then it is not you who will be speaking, but the Holy Spirit. All right, a couple of things here. So in the reference of these, not a single brick is going to be left pretty much standing on top of one another. When one of his disciples told him, like, "Teacher, look at all these buildings and stuff." From my understanding, that Jesus is referencing to the second temple being destroyed during the Roman occupation in like the year 70 AD or so, right? So they demolished it to the point to where they were literally taking apart each brick by brick to where there was nothing left standing of it. What else here? One important thing that he said as well, and the good news must first be preached to every nation. Right, with the rise of the internet, now internet is kind of pretty available to almost everybody, regardless of your social status, how much money you have or how much you don't have. Pretty much everybody has the internet or some sort of form of access to the internet, whether it's directly or through somebody else, right? And definitely not saying apostles didn't do a good job. They did a phenomenal job of going around and preaching all throughout Asia and Africa and stuff like that, and Europe, to go spread the word of the good news. However, with the internet now, it is much faster, and now it is able to reach every nation, right? Every nation can hear the good news. All right, let's continue here. "Brother will betray brother to death. Fathers will betray their own children, and children will rise against their parents and cause them to be killed. And everyone will hate you because of your allegiance to me. But those who endure to the end will be saved." All right, so if your feed right now on social media is anything like mine, it's all about end day prophecies and things of that nature, right? A lot of people are claiming that these are the end days. I am not denying it, but I do think that a lot of them, at least, are not really following this. They're just kind of copying what other people are saying, and a lot of it is kind of like fear mongering, to where they're trying to get people to watch their videos and give them likes and stuff like that for the videos, because of fear. I mean, same thing with the news right now. news don't report barely on anything good because people don't really care, right? It's something that's going to get your attention, something fearful, something that's going to get people to panic and things of that nature. Then they're going to tune back into the news to see, like, all right, what's next coming, what's next? So I think that a lot of the people, I'm not saying all of them, some people have very good points of why they think it is, that the world is at the point that they think there is, which is very valid, but a lot of them I think are doing that, trying to like do the fear for the likes and views. So be careful with that. And I'm going to explain to you why I think what I think here in a minute. Alright, so let's continue. But again, remember this, but those who endure to the end will be saved. So a lot of people think that the rapture is going to happen before any type of tribulation. I will show you from my understanding how I believe that is incorrect. The time will come when you will see the sacrilegious object that causes desecration. So there's the asterisk next to it, says Greek for the abomination of this desolation. See Daniel 9:27 and other parts, right? So again, this is speaking from when the Romans, they believe that it's when the Romans completely destroyed the temple, whatever this abomination of desolation was placed in the temple. Again, so causes the desolation of abomination of desolation, standing where it should not be. Reader, pay attention. Then those in Judea must flee to the hills. A person outside the house must not go back into the house to pack. A person in the field must not return even to get a coat. How terrible it will be for the pregnant women and for mothers nursing their babies in those days. And pray that your flight will not be in the winter, for those will be days of greater horror than at any time since God created the world, and will never happen again. In fact, unless the Lord shortens the time of calamity, the entire human race will be destroyed. But for the sake of his chosen ones, he has shortened those days. Kind of hard to interpret. Like I said, I've never been to any of the schooling for this. I just kind of picked up the Bible and now I'm reading it to you from the way I understand it. Hopefully it is correct. So a lot of these things he's saying that the greater horrors than any time since God created the world, and it will never happen again, right? So I believe this is about the end time, what he's talking about here. That type of horrors is going to be at the end of the end times. You have to remember also in the book of Genesis, or throughout the Bible, it talks about how God created the world in 7 days, right? But there's different parts in the Bible that say for God, 1 day is like 1,000 years, and 1,000 years is like a day, right? So maybe he's talking about what happened at that time when the Romans decided to fully destroy Jerusalem and the temple and things of that nature, and people from Judea did flee, or he could possibly be referencing towards the actual end times. In this part of it right here, I believe it is the end times. And then if anyone tells you, look, here's the Messiah, or there he is, don't pay any attention, for false Messiah and false prophets will rise up and perform miraculous signs and wonders so as to deceive, if possible, even the chosen ones. So if there's going to be these people trying to deceive, if possible, even the chosen ones, if this is talking about the end times, right? A lot of people think that we're going to get raptured up before all these terrible things are happening. But if all the believers are going to be raptured before all these terrible things are happening, then why would there be false messiahs and false prophets who will rise up to perform miracles, signs, and wonders as to deceive, if possible, even God's chosen ones? Remember, I told you guys before, those who persevere to the end will be saved. Alright, let's continue. Watch out, I have warned you. At that time, after those horrible days end, this is pretty much directly from book of Revelation almost. The sun will be darkened, the moon will not give light, and the stars will fall from the sky, and the power of heaven will be shaken. Then everyone will see the Son of Man arrive on the cloud with a great power and glory. And he will send forth his angels to gather together his chosen ones from all over the world, from the farthest end of the earth to heaven. Now learn a lesson from the fig tree. When its buds become tender and its leaves begin to sprout, you know without being told that summer is near. Just so, when you see these events I've described beginning to happen, you can be sure that his return is very near, right at the door. All right, so all these terrible things are going to be happening. I assure you, this generation, so again, it has an asterisk next to it, says, or this age, or this nation, which I'm assuming is the nation of Israel, will not pass from the scene until all these events have taken place. Heaven and earth will disappear, but my words will remain forever. However, no one knows the day or hour when these things will happen, not even angels in heaven or the Son himself. Only the Father knows. And since you don't know when this will happen, stay alert and keep watch. So always be ready. That's why I was saying all throughout the book of Mark or Matthew pretty much, don't wait. Don't think that I'm only 20, I'm only 30, I still have 50, 60, 70 years to live. Like I'll accept Jesus later down the road. If you have the opportunity right now, do it now and be ready, because you don't know when the time comes. There will be signs as described, which so happens that we seems to be living through the very beginnings of them right now. But try not to get fear spread anywhere, just awareness. Yes, stay alert and keep watch. The coming of the Son of Man can be compared with that of that of a man who left home to go on a trip. He gave each of his employees instructions about the work they were to do, and he told the gatekeepers to watch for his return. So keep a sharp lookout, for you do not know when the homeowners will return, at evening, midnight, early dawn, or late daybreak. Don't let him find you sleeping when he arrives without warning. When I say to you, I say to everyone, watch for his return. Watch for the return of Jesus Christ. Okay, so about this whole entire thing, that people believe that the rapture is going to happen prior to the tribulations. So in the book of Revelations, we'll get to that whenever we're done with the rest of the New Testament. It's the last book in the New Testament, which kind of tells you what is to come, right? So here, first you're going to have the 7 seals that are going to be opened up from the scroll, right? With each seal, there's going to be something new. We're going to learn more about it, like I said, once we actually dive into the book and read about it. After that, you're going to have the 7 trumpets, and then after that, there's going to be 7 bowls of wrath that are going to be poured out, right? With each one of those events, something new is going to happen. So here, before the 7th seal is open, this is in Revelation 7, chapter 7. Then I saw 4 angels standing at the 4 corners of the earth. So he just talked about his angels standing to collect the people, right? Holding back the 4 winds from the blowing upon the earth. Not a leaf rustled in the trees, and the seas became smooth as glass. And I saw another angel coming from the east, carrying the seal of the living God. And he shouted out to those 4 angels who had been given the power to injure land and sea, wait, don't hurt the land of the sea or the trees until we have placed the seal of God on the foreheads of his servants. So that's something that I want to point out. So here it says the servants, right? When I was reading through the older translation, the 1560 edition, and here it says for the elites, right? When he was talking about the people, his elites will be chosen. All right. And I heard how many were marked with the seal of God. There were 144,000 who were sealed from all the tribes of Israel. So there's 12 tribes of Israel. There's going to be 12,000 from each tribe, right? So there's 144,000. The seals have been opened. The 7th one has not been opened. The first 6 has been, right? But then let's continue to chapter 14. All right. Then I saw the Lamb standing on Mount Zion, and with him were the 144,000 who had his name and his father's name written on their foreheads. And I heard the sound from heaven like a roaring of great waterfall from the rolling mighty thunder. It was like the sound of many harpists. So these 144,000, I'm going to continue here. The great choir sang a wonderful new song in front of the throne of God and before the 4 living beings and the 24 elders. And no one could learn the song except those 144,000 who had been redeemed from the earth. So that had already been raptured. They have been taken up. For they are spiritually undefiled, pure as virgins, following the Lamb wherever he goes. They have been purchased from among the people on the earth as a special offering. To God and to the Lamb, no falsehood can be charged against them. They are blameless. All right, so I believe that the people that are going to be raptured at first, right, are going to be the 144,000. Again, this is from my understanding. Then we're going to have, this is already during the 7 trumpets that are getting blown. Yeah, so this is after the 7th trumpet. All right, and then continue in Revelations 14 is going to be the harvest of the earth. Then I saw a man sitting on a white cloud, right? We just read in Mark that Jesus will return on a cloud to gather his people, right? So the first people, let me see here in 7. Yep, so in 7 he kind of explains who these 144,000 are. Then one of the 24 elders asked me, who are these who are clothed in white? Who are the 144,000? Where do they come from? And I said to him, Sir, you're the one who knows. Then he said to me, these are the ones coming out of the great tribulation. These are the ones that are coming out from the great tribulation. They washed their robes in the blood of the Lamb and made them white. That is why they are standing in front of the throne of God, serving him day and night in his temple. And he who sits on the throne will live among them and shelter them. They will never again be hungry or thirsty, and they will be fully protected from the scorching noontime heat. For the Lamb who stands in front of the throne will be their shepherd. He will lead them to the springs of life-giving water, and God will wipe away their tears. So I think these 144,000, the specially chosen ones, will get taken up before they were going to be coming out of the tribulation. Sorry, these are the ones coming out of the great tribulation. So here then in chapter 14 we see where he's actually harvesting his harvest, right? So let's read that. The harvest of the earth. Then I saw the Son of Man sitting in a white cloud. He had a gold crown on his head and a sharp sickle in his hand. Then an angel came from the temple and called out in a loud voice to the one sitting on the cloud. Who's sitting on the cloud? Jesus just said that the Son of Man will be sitting on the cloud when he comes back to return to grab his people. All right. Use the sickle, for the time has come for you to harvest. The crop is ripe on earth, right? So we will be the harvest. Jesus uses these type of references about farmers and harvest all the time, about the seed falling into the right soil, right? The type of fruit they bear, so on and so forth. So I believe that we are going to be the harvest, the people that, what? Those that persevere to the end, right? Yeah, those that pretty much did not give up until the very end. Those that were not deceived by those that were not deceived by the false messiahs and the false prophets, right? If possible, even God's chosen ones. So those people, those will be getting harvested, right? The crop is ripe on the earth. So the one sitting on the cloud swung his sickle over the earth, and the whole earth was harvested. After that, I'm not exactly sure what this is in reference to, because this is kind of like also a harvest. So if you know, please let me know. But after that, another angel came from the temple in heaven, and he also had a sharp sickle. Then another angel, who has power to destroy the world with fire, shouted to the angel with a sickle, use your sickle now to gather the cluster of grapes from the vines of the earth, for they are fully ripe for judgment. So as the angel swung his sickle on the earth and loaded the grapes into the great winepress of God's wrath, the grapes were trodden in the winepress outside the city, and the blood flowed from the winepress in a stream about 180 miles long and as high as the horse's bridle. All right, so not trying to scare anybody or anything like that. I just want you to be prepared. Some people are strong believers that the people are going to get taken up prior to all the tribulations, right? Before all these terrible things that are coming, kind of that Jesus described, that goes into, in my opinion, into deeper detail in the book of Revelation. So just 144,000 from the book of Revelation seems like those are going to get taken out from the tribulation first. They're the very chosen ones. They're very specific people that are going to be there for a specific job in heaven prior to the 7 trumpets that are going to start. At the end of the 7th trumpet, before the 7 bowls of wrath are going to be poured out on the earth, right? At the end of the 7th trumpet, that's when the rest of us are going to get pretty much harvested, the people that are believers and things of that nature, and we'll go up to heaven. Again, not to worry anybody, just please beware. Please understand. I might be wrong about this. That's why I encourage you guys to read the book for yourselves. Anyways, thank you so much. I hope I see you in chapter 14. As always, I love you guys. God bless you and your families. Take care.